Hey guys, what's going on? I promised I would come back as quickly as I could with another video. That would be the Bills 2013 awards. The Billies? I don't know. I don't have a name for them. They don't matter. But I thought it was something kind of fun that I could do that people could engage with and respond to. So feel free to weigh in. I have 10 awards here. I don't have like a little trophy or anything. I'm just going to talk you through it like I have all year. Like I said, 10 awards that I'm going to dish out to certain Buffalo Bills players. Nobody won. Actually, I shouldn't say that. One person won twice. But I think it's justified, and we will jump right into it. We're going to start with Offensive Player of the Year. A couple candidates, I suppose, for that. But in my eyes, there's really only one. You could go with Spiller, I guess, in that he missed a couple games and almost ran for 1,000 yards. But I'm going with Fred Jackson. He was everything you needed him to be. He had over 1,200 total yards, 890 rushing, and 387 receiving. He scored 10 total touchdowns. The guy was just on fire all year long. Even when he was hurt, he was reliable. Somebody you could go to when you needed yards. Somebody you could go to on third down. Somebody EJ could rely on. Somebody Thad could rely on. It was him. He was the Offensive Player of the Year. I don't think, like I said, I would listen to an argument for Spiller, but ultimately I don't think Spiller could take it away from Jackson. Onward, Defensive Player of the Year. Definitely some candidates for this. I'm going personally with Mario Williams. Mario had 13 sacks on the season and not a whole lot of tackles, but I think Mario Williams was the most important piece to that defense. You could certainly say Kyle Williams. I'd listen to you say maybe even Kiko Alonso. I would certainly listen to you say Kyle Williams or Bird, something like that. But I think Mario was incredibly important to what that defense was, trying to accomplish. Was incredibly important, obviously, to them recording the second most sacks in the league, the most in franchise history, and that he had the most at 13. But you could just see him on the field. You could say, disappears. I like how he disappears. What about when you can't see him and he's invisible? He's not, though. You might not be noticing him, but trust me, he's making an impact. Because I've spent time watching him, and he is like the general of that, especially of the defensive line. He calls shifts and what have you. He will coach other defensive linemen right on the field. Point them out, tell them where to go, takes up double teams, opens lanes for guys like Kyle Williams, Darius Jerry Hughes, Manny Lawson, etc. So I think that Mario Williams was far and away the best defensive player the Bills had, the most valuable defensive player that the Bills had this year. And that's encouraging because of his contract size, because of what you want from him. And I think it's something the Bills can certainly build on going into next year. There are three phases to football, as you know, offense, defense, and special teams. So I doled out a special teams player of the year, and I gave that to Marcus Easley. Marcus Easley had only 24 tackles, but that's quite a bit. He was great, I thought, on punt coverage. He was great on kick coverage. He only returned a couple of kicks when Goodwin was injured, and kick returning is pretty stupid now because they just blast it out of the back of the end zone. But I thought in a year where special teams were not very good, some of us called for the firing of Danny Crossman and what have you, that Marcus Easley was the core special team guy. He was the most reliable tackler, the most consistent tackler, and somebody you could rely on in that phase of the game. So props to Marcus Easley. We'll go down to the rookies. Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm going with Robert Woods. You could say EJ. You could say Robert Woods, obviously. You could say Marquise Goodwin. There's a couple of guys there that, all contributed in their own right. I'm going with Woods because he was not necessarily consistent, but he was always a weapon. And I know that sounds weird, so I'm going to try to explain that. Goodwin disappeared for games at a time. I mean, his first pass he fumbled and missed 4 weeks after that, or however many games he missed. He came back and was certainly effective in certain spots, but after the Jets game, he had one catch the rest of the year. I can't give Rookie of the Year to that. Woods was good with Manuel, struggled a bit with Thad Lewis, but Manuel's what who you're trying to make succeed, who you're trying to mold into your quarterback, and you have Robert Woods, who looks like he has a pretty good rapport with Manuel, so that's certainly beneficial to both of them. So I'm going to give Offensive Rookie of the Year to Robert Woods. He had almost 600 yards receiving, 14 and a half, almost 15 yards per catch, which is pretty good numbers. It was third best on the team behind Goodwin and Graham, who basically just ran streaks for the most part. So, good for Goodwin. He scored 3 touchdowns. Or not Goodwin, Woods. He scored 3 touchdowns. And I feel pretty good about him moving forward. That's a pretty good rookie season to me. 40 catches, 600 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think that's something he can certainly build on moving forward. Defensive Rookie of the Year, do I really need to spend that much time on it? I would love to put Nickel Roby. In fact, I tried to invent an award to give to Nickel Roby because I think he deserves one, but I can't not give Defensive Rookie of the Year to Kiko Alonso. The guy was unreal at times made mistakes. He's a rookie. These are going to happen. He's a lot of times the only linebacker on the field. They put Lawson outside and stuff, but he's the only guy in the middle. So a lot of the run, if he gets swallowed up by a blocker, a lot of the long run plays are going to be his fault. But it's not something that I don't think he can get better at. When he screwed up, we noticed it. Bobby Rainey and who else did it? Atlanta did it a couple times. He was rough at times. Battled a little bit of a knee injury. I don't know how serious that was, but obviously everyone's pretty optimistic about Kiko moving forward. I would like to see the Bills, like I said, add a run stuffer. Somebody who can just plug up the holes and the gaps. But Kiko Alonso looks like a home run pick in the second round at least. Had 4 interceptions, 2 sacks. Something he could certainly build on. And hopefully that defense only gets better with him in the middle of it. Most improved player. Most improved player. I think unarguably goes to Aaron Williams. I know he missed some time, but I think his move to safety benefited him and the defense, completely. He was very, very good back there. Very good. He even moved down to cornerback when Gilmore was out and when McKelvin was out and whoever else was out. Oh, my God, it was brutal. When he had to move down to corner so Justin Rogers could play the other side. It was just terrible. But he was good. He was good at it. He got beat by Josh Gordon, I remember, at corner. But that was really the only play I can remember with thinking, wow, Aaron Williams got beat on that play. And Josh Gordon beat everybody this year, so I don't hate that at all. It happens. But he was very good at safety. He was very good at corner. Very good wherever they needed him to be. He had 4 interceptions, 82 tackles as a safety. That's a lot. Usually you don't want your safety making that many tackles, but the run defense was bad, but he's coming up and making them tackles. So I'm very optimistic about Aaron Williams moving forward at the safety position, thinking the Bills might start to think about life without Jarris Byrd because they have Aaron Williams back there. Seriously played well. Get into that. Spoiler alert. And, it's something that they might be able to re-sign Jim Leonard for a year. They have Duke Williams, Jonathan Meeks, who are rookies, but I'm sure they want them to play a little bit of safety. So you might see something like that come into play. Like I said, life without Jairus Byrd. I hope not, but it's looking that way. Comeback Player of the Year. I struggled a little bit with this one. I thought about Darius, but he had pretty comparable numbers to last year, and he did really well with Mario and Kyle this year. He kind of rubbed people the wrong way a little bit last year. People thought he was out of shape and whatever. I don't listen to that. I think Marcel played pretty well last year. Somebody who didn't play pretty well last year, who I thought played pretty well at his position at least, this year is Leotis McKelvin. Leotis was in Chan Gailey's doghouse most of the season last year. Didn't play a whole lot of corner. He tried to sneak on the field a couple times. He did get on the field a little bit, and he was kind of bad at times. They tried him in the nickel position. That's not where he's good. He's good outside. He plays outside, and he's fine. We saw that this year. I was very impressed by Leotis this year at the cornerback position. I thought he went from being a guy last year who we were thought, did we let him walk? Maybe we keep him for his special team abilities. To we kept him, and I'm thinking, wow, thank God we kept this guy, even though he was kind of an idiot in special teams sometimes with fielding punts and what have you. But he was certainly improved at the cornerback position. And coming off a down year, and a couple of years prior to that, where we thought he was going to be, more of a cornerstone of the defense. Literally. So props to Leotis McKelvin for that. I'm glad we re-signed him. I think that him and Gilmore will make a fantastic pair at cornerback for a couple of years to come here. Moving on to best acquisition. That's going to go to Jerry Hughes. What a trade that was, right? Jerry Hughes comes in, just gets 10 sacks. Kelvin Shepherd, what did he even do with Indianapolis? I know Indianapolis made the playoffs, but I don't think it had anything to do with Kelvin Shepherd, who everyone seemed to be so high on him when he got drafted, and he just hit his ceiling so fast. So the Bills, they see this, they trade him, they draft Kiko Alonso to replace him, and they get Jerry Hughes, who just put up 10 sacks. I would listen to an argument from Andy Lawson as well. Even Alan Branch, I thought they all played pretty well. Those are three great acquisitions by the Bills, Jerry Hughes of which I think is the best. Certainly benefits from a spectacular defensive line in Darius, Kyle, and Mario. And especially having Mario on the other side, Jerry Hughes hardly ever faces a double team, but he went from bust status to somebody who now has 10 sacks, who has a 10-sack season, and can hopefully build off of that moving into 2014. The Unsung Hero Award, going to a guy who kind of flew below the radar, but had a pretty stellar season. Spoiler alert. Denor Searcy. I thought about giving this award to Nikhil Roby, but I thought Searcy had a very good season. 71 tackles, 3.5 sacks. He had an interception and a fumble recovery, each of which went for touchdowns. So he was making a pretty good impact on games. I think that he could have a very bright future at the safety position, like I said, if Byrd moves on or isn't tagged or traded, whatever. If Bird's not here, I think Searcy and Aaron Williams could make pretty good safeties in Mike Pettine's defense. Searcy didn't really, like I said, he made two plays that stick out in your mind: the fumble recovery week 1 and the pick 6 against the Jets. He didn't do anything really to really stand out. That's why I give him this Unsung Hero Award, because I think that he was very effective, actually. And I know that Bills rotate safeties in and out. When Byrd was hurt, Searcy was in there, and he played really well. And they, like I said, they rotate with Leonard and Searcy and Byrd and Williams, and then Williams got hurt, so Searcy got to play, and he played pretty well in the time that he was on the field. And I want to see more of him on the field, so I'm encouraged to that. I've gone through 9 awards. It's going to bring me to the 10th and final, and that is Most Valuable Player, MVP. Got to go to Fred Jackson. The guy, you thought he suffered season-ending knee injuries 2-3 times, comes back in that same game, scores, and does his Hulk thing. He might actually be the Hulk. Fred Jackson was hands down the most valuable player. I really hope he doesn't hit, the age wall. It's a thing. It's not going to hit him during the season because he's 32, 33 years old. Maybe he's going to be 30. I think he's going to be 33 in a couple weeks actually in this offseason. Eventually, it's going to catch up to him, and it's going to be during the offseason. He's just going to come back, and he's not going to have as much as he did before. I really hope it doesn't happen to him because this year, there's a place on every roster, every NFL roster for Fred Jackson. A fantastic blocker, a fantastic runner, a fantastic pass catcher, a fantastic leader. Fred Jackson is your MVP. Guys, thank you for coming down 16 minutes into this video, listening to what I have to say. Please weigh in. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, go Bills.